Get your filthy hands off my car. Amid Manhattan's upscale streets, Lucas Brooks, a 38-year-old billionaire haunted by isolation and privilege, roars in racist fury at Zuri Okoye for daring to admire and touch his prize Ferrari, stunning passers-by with his venomous outburst. Zuri, a talented black mechanic of Nigerian descent, stands firm, her eyes blazing with unyielding expertise and defiance. Can a black woman's brilliance shatter a tycoon's toxic bias? What shocking secrets will unravel his world? Will redemption rise from the ruins of prejudice? Dive into this gripping saga of sabotage, love, and justice that will leave you breathless. Subscribe now for soul-stirring stories like this, and comment your city below. Where are you watching from? Uncover the twist that sparks a revolution and changes lives forever. Don't miss a second. The November sun pierced through the towering glass spires of Manhattan, like a blade of golden light, casting long shadows across the opulent penthouse, where Lucas Brooks, a 38-year-old white tech CEO commanding a $12 billion empire, stood in silent reverence. At 6'2", with broad shoulders honed by years of calculated discipline, Lucas surveyed his private garage, a sanctuary of gleaming chrome and carbon fiber that housed his most treasured escapes from a world he had conquered but never truly connected with. His dark hair was impeccably styled, his piercing green eyes reflecting the cold precision of a man who built fortunes on algorithms and acquisitions. Yet beneath the tailored Armani suit, isolation gnawed at him like rust on neglected steel. His prized possession, a Ferrari SF90 Stradale hybrid in a crimson hue so vivid it seemed to pulse with forbidden energy, sat at the center of it all. One of only 5 custom models worldwide, its twin-turbo V8 paired with electric motors promised 986 horsepower of raw, unbridled power, a machine that mirrored his own life, sleek, untouchable, and utterly alone. Lucas traced his fingers along the aerodynamic curves, feeling the residual warmth from a recent drive, a rare moment of therapy in a schedule dominated by boardrooms and betrayals. His phone buzzed with yet another merger alert, but he ignored it. At 38, wealth had bought him everything except trust. Past relationships had dissolved into accusations of gold digging, leaving him to wonder if anyone saw beyond the dollar signs. The Ferrari was his constant, reliable, unchanging, a symbol of control in a chaotic existence. Across the city in the gritty heart of Queens, the air hummed with a symphony of tools and engines at Washington Auto Restoration, where Zuri Okoye, a 28-year-old black mechanic of Nigerian descent, wielded her genius like a finely tuned wrench. Standing at 5'6" with a build forged from determination and endless hours under hoods, Zuri's coffee-toned skin glistened under the fluorescent lights as she slid out from beneath a midnight blue Lamborghini Huracan. Her natural curls were tied back in a practical bun, her orange coveralls marked with the honest stains of her craft. Grease streaks that told stories of impossible fixes and unyielding passion. Inherited from her father, a Nigerian immigrant who had turned a one-car garage in Brooklyn into a haven for the overlooked, Zuri's hands moved with magical precision. She had just completed a transmission rebuild that 3 other shops had declared hopeless, her mind racing through diagnostics like a high-speed circuit. The rapper owner would never know that the woman saving his $200,000 investment had faced doors slammed shut because of her race and gender, assumptions that she couldn't possibly understand the artistry of Italian engineering. Zuri wiped her hands on a rag, her movements efficient and graceful, her dark eyes sparkling with the quiet joy of mastery. This workshop was her kingdom, adorned with vintage posters of Ferrari legends and tools organized like soldiers ready for battle. Yet success came at a cost. Dating was a minefield of men intimidated by her expertise or exoticizing her heritage. She had built walls as sturdy as engine blocks, protecting a heart that longed for genuine connection amid the roar of machines. The crisp autumn wind carried the scent of roasted chestnuts along Fifth Avenue as Zuri stepped out for a lunch break, her wearing a blue blouse and a black business skirt, a rare departure from her coveralls. The city's pulse throbbed around her, 8 million souls weaving through their separate lives, unaware of the collision about to unfold. Her eyes caught sight of it first, the Ferrari SF90 Stradale, parked brazenly in front of Bergdorf Goodman, its red bodywork gleaming like a forbidden jewel under the midday sun. Zuri's breath hitched. She had repaired Ferraris before, but this was a masterpiece, a hybrid marvel blending raw power with electric elegance. Drawn like a moth to flame, she approached slowly, her trained gaze noting the custom carbon fiber spoiler and gold brake calipers. Unable to resist, she placed a gentle palm on the hood, feeling the subtle vibrations that whispered of engineering perfection. "What a beauty," she murmured to herself, tracing the curves with the reverence of an artist before a canvas. The V8 twin-turbo synced with 3 electric motors, pure artistry on wheels. But the moment shattered like fragile glass. Lucas Brooks emerged from the store, his face twisting into a mask of fury as he spotted her hand on his prized possession. At 38, he had learned to guard what was his with ferocious intensity, prejudices from a privileged upbringing bubbling to the surface unchecked. Striding forward with the authority of a man who owned the skyline, he closed the distance, his voice booming across the sidewalk. The crowd of well-dressed shoppers paused, drawn by the spectacle unfolding before them. Zuri looked up, her hand withdrawing instinctively, but Lucas's rage had already ignited. He towered over her, his green eyes blazing with disdain, assumptions flooding his mind. A young black woman in casual clothes couldn't possibly appreciate or deserve to touch something so valuable. The air thickened with tension as whispers rippled through the onlookers, phones emerging to capture the drama. Before Zuri could explain, Lucas unleashed a torrent of vitriol, his words laced with the poison of unchecked bias. He accused her of tampering, his voice carrying far, drawing more stares. "Get your filthy hands off my car," he shouted, the slur of entitlement echoing, but it went further, his prejudice spilling over in public humiliation. "People like you don't belong anywhere near this. You think you can just touch what's mine?" The racist undertones hung heavy, invoking stereotypes that cut deep, evoking the long history of exclusion and suspicion faced by those who looked like Zuri. Shoppers shifted uncomfortably, some murmuring in agreement, others averting their eyes. This was Manhattan, where confrontation was spectacle. Zuri felt the sting, her cheeks burning not from shame, but from the familiar ache of being reduced to a threat based on skin alone. Yet she stood tall, her composure a shield forged in fire. Seizing the moment to assert control, Lucas pulled out his phone, dialing the police with dramatic flair. "Yes, there's a woman here messing with my vehicle," he barked into the receiver, his description laced with implications that painted Zuri as suspicious simply for existing. The crowd grew, a circle of judgment forming around them. Zuri's heart raced, but her voice remained steady as she interjected, pointing out the subtle signs of malfunction. The uneven stance suggesting low brake fluid, the faint discoloration near the exhaust hinting at hybrid calibration issues. "Your car's got problems you haven't noticed," she said calmly, her expertise shining through the chaos. But Lucas waved her off, his arrogance blinding him to the truth. The police arrived swiftly, 2 officers approaching with hands on their belts, their questions directed at Zuri with undue scrutiny, demanding ID, probing her intentions, echoing the systemic bias of driving while black that plagued so many. Lucas stood smugly, arms crossed, convinced of his righteousness. Zuri complied without protest, her dignity intact amid the humiliation. As the officers finally backed off, lacking evidence of wrongdoing, she met Lucas's gaze one last time. "That Ferrari's hybrid system is failing," she warned softly, her words a quiet dagger of knowledge. "Ignore it, and it'll cost you more than pride." But Lucas, still fuming, dismissed her with a final glare, turning away as if she were invisible. The crowd dispersed, the incident fading into the city's endless noise. But the wound lingered, a spark of conflict that would soon ignite something far greater. Little did Lucas know, this encounter with the unassuming mechanic would unravel his world of privilege, forcing him to confront the prejudices he carried like invisible armor. Before we dive deeper into this tale of unexpected twists and heartfelt redemption, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and comment where you're watching from. Your support keeps these powerful stories coming. Trust me, You won't want to miss what happens next. As Lucas Brooks stormed away from the chaotic scene outside Bergdorf Goodman, his pulse thundered like the Ferrari's V8 engine at full throttle. The 38-year-old CEO clutched his phone tightly, the echo of his own harsh words ringing in his ears. People like you don't belong here. A venomous outburst that now felt like a fleeting victory, but one laced with an uneasy aftertaste. The crowd had dispersed, the police had shrugged off the incident as a misunderstanding, and Zuri Okoye had vanished into the Manhattan throng like a shadow slipping through cracks in the concrete jungle. Lucas slid into a waiting black SUV, his driver navigating the gridlock toward his towering penthouse, where board meetings and billion-dollar deals awaited. Yet as the city blurred past the tinted windows, a nagging doubt crept in. Her words about the hybrid system, low brake fluid, uneven tire wear, exhaust discoloration, played on loop in his mind, dismissed as nonsense from an intruder, but whispering of potential truth. At 38, Lucas had built his empire on intuition and ruthlessness. Ignoring warnings wasn't in his nature, yet pride blinded him now. He deleted a flurry of notifications, dating app matches that reeked of opportunism, reminding himself that trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. The Ferrari was more than a car. It was his armor, his escape, and no one, especially not a stranger like her, would tarnish it. Back in his penthouse, the 42nd floor sanctuary enveloped him in sterile luxury. Marble floors reflecting the afternoon sun, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Hudson like a conquered kingdom. Lucas paced the expansive living room, his mind shifting to the upcoming acquisition of a rival AI firm, a deal that could push his net worth into the stratosphere. But distraction gnawed at him. He fired off a quick call to Exclusive Auto Services, the elite shop that maintained his collection with white-glove precision. "Mr. Chun," Lucas barked into the speakerphone, "run a remote diagnostic on the Ferrari. Some woman was messing with it. Claims there are issues." The service manager's voice crackled through, professional but urgent. "Sir, we're already seeing alerts. Critical hybrid calibration error. The system's out of sync. Driving it further could lead to catastrophic failure. Engine seizure, battery overload. We've never seen this on an SF-90 before." Lucas froze, his grip tightening on the phone. "What? How is that possible? I just drove it this morning." Chun hesitated, then continued. "Our scans confirm low brake fluid, alignment issues, and exhaust anomalies, exactly as if someone spotted them manually. You need our specialist immediately. She's the only one certified for this model's hybrid intricacies." The name hit like a thunderclap. "Zuri Okoye," Chun elaborated, his tone reverent. "Zuri's a miracle worker, Mr. Brooks. Trained under the best, handles exotics that stump everyone else. She's in Manhattan now. I can dispatch her within the hour." Lucas's world tilted. The woman he had berated, the one he had reduced to a stereotype in front of strangers, was the key to saving his most prized asset. Images flashed, her calm demeanor amid his rage, her precise diagnosis that now proved eerily accurate. Shame flickered in his chest, but arrogance smothered it. "Fine," he snapped. "Send her. But make it quick. I have a board meeting tonight." Hanging up, Lucas stared at the city below. A chessboard of power plays where he always moved first. Yet here, he was checkmated by fate. How could she, of all people, hold the solution? His prejudices warred with necessity. Admitting error felt like surrender. He scrolled through his contacts, hesitating before dialing the number Chun provided. The line rang twice before Zuri's voice answered, cool and composed. "Okoye Auto, how can I help?" Zuri Okoye, the 28-year-old mechanic whose hands held the secrets of mechanical symphonies, was mid-stride in Queens when her phone vibrated. She had shaken off the morning's humiliation like oil from a dipstick, focusing on her next job, a finicky McLaren transmission. But the encounter lingered, a bruise on her spirit. At 28, she had endured worse. Garages turning her away, clients questioning her expertise because of her skin. Echoes of her father's struggles as a Nigerian immigrant mechanic denied service at upscale dealerships simply for being black. Driving while black wasn't just a phrase. It was her reality, from police stops to sidelong glances. Yet Zuri's resilience was ironclad. forged in the fire of proving herself tenfold. She answered the call warily, recognizing the area code as upscale Manhattan. Lucas's voice came through, clipped and authoritative. "This is Lucas Brooks. Exclusive Auto says you're the specialist for my Ferrari. I need you here now." Zuri paused, her mind racing. The arrogant billionaire who had humiliated her publicly now begged for her skills. A surge of vindication mixed with caution. Her past betrayal by a white businessman who had framed her for shoddy work, costing her first garage, made her wary. "Mr. Brooks," she replied evenly, "I charge premium rates and I require a contract up front. No exceptions. After this morning, I'm sure you understand why." Silence stretched on the line. Lucas's internal turmoil boiling. Swallow pride or risk his Ferrari? "Fine," he conceded, his tone grudging. "I'll have my assistant email it. Be here in 30 minutes." Zuri agreed, but not before stipulating terms. Full access, no interference, and payment on completion. Hanging up, she felt a mix of triumph and trepidation. This wasn't just a job. It was a chance to shatter assumptions. The drive to Lucas's penthouse felt eternal. Zuri navigating traffic in her modest truck loaded with diagnostic tools. Her mind wandered to her father, whose lessons in Brooklyn's cramped garage had instilled not just mechanical prowess, but unyielding dignity. "Never let them dim your light, Zuri," he'd say, his Nigerian accent thick with wisdom. Now stepping into the lion's den, she steeled herself. The building loomed like a monolith of wealth, the doorman eyeing her curiously as she announced her arrival. An elevator whisked her to the 42nd floor, doors opening to Lucas's domain. A garage that rivaled museums, with LED lights illuminating his collection like sacred artifacts. Lucas waited, arms crossed, his suit impeccable, but his expression a storm cloud of reluctance. "You're late," he muttered, though she wasn't. Zuri ignored the jab, her tool bag slung over her shoulder like a warrior's shield. "Let's get to work," she said, approaching the Ferrari with professional detachment. Lucas observed from afar, his skepticism palpable. How could this woman, the one he had dismissed so viciously, hold the fate of his sanctuary? As Zuri connected her diagnostic device to the hidden port, screens flickering to life with data streams, the air thickened with unspoken tension. The hybrid alerts confirmed her earlier assessment. Calibration off by 12%, risking total failure. Lucas's face paled slightly, the weight of his error dawning, yet pride held his tongue. He watched in silence as she began her methodical disassembly, her hands moving with the grace of a conductor leading an orchestra. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to them, the morning's video had begun its viral ascent on social media. Clips of Lucas's outburst circulated on platforms like X and TikTok, hashtags like Russia racist CEO and Ferrari fiasco trending subtly among activist circles. Comments poured in, privilege on display. She knew more than he. The pressure mounted lightly on Lucas, his assistant forwarding alerts about potential PR fallout. In his world of power, reputation was currency, and this glitch threatened to devalue it. But for now, in the garage's hushed confines, the focus remained on the machine and the fragile bridge forming between two worlds divided by prejudice and possibility. As Zuri delved deeper into the Ferrari's intricacies, the penthouse garage transformed into a theater of reluctant alliance. Lucas hovered at the edge, his initial disdain cracking under the weight of her undeniable expertise. She explained each step with quiet authority. "See this voltage differential? The electric motors aren't syncing with the V8. Keep ignoring it, and you'll fry the powertrain." Her words, devoid of gloating, chipped away at his defenses. For the first time, Lucas felt a flicker of respect, though he buried it deep. The contract sat signed on his desk, a testament to her caution, born from betrayals that mirrored his own suspicions. Before we uncover the layers of revelation and redemption awaiting in this gripping story, smash that like button if you're hooked. Subscribe for more tales of triumph over prejudice, and drop a comment. Have you ever faced judgment for simply being yourself? Your stories fuel ours. Stay tuned for what's next. As the diagnostic screens hum to life in the pristine penthouse garage, casting an ethereal blue glow across the Ferrari's scarlet curves, Zuri Okoye immersed herself in the rhythm of repair, her 28-year-old frame a portrait of focused intensity. The air was thick with the scent of polished metal and faint ozone from the hybrid system's exposed components. A symphony of whirs and clicks underscoring her every move. Lucas Brooks, the 38-year-old CEO whose empire loomed as vast as the city skyline beyond the windows, lingered at the periphery, his arms folded in a posture of reluctant vigilance. He watched her with a mix of skepticism and unwilling fascination. How could this woman, whom he had so viciously dismissed mere hours ago, command such authority over his mechanical masterpiece? Zuri's gloved hands danced across the engine bay, disconnecting modules with surgical precision. The hybrid controller's firmware is corrupted, she explained matter-of-factly, her voice steady like a calibrated torque wrench. See these voltage spikes? They're from aggressive driving patterns, pushing the car like it's indestructible. But precision like this demands respect, not punishment. Lucas leaned in slightly, his green eyes narrowing on the screen's readouts, graphs pulsing like a digital heartbeat. For the first time, he asked a question born of genuine curiosity rather than defense. How do you spot that so quickly? Most mechanics would need days. Zuri glanced up, her dark eyes meeting his without flinching. Experience and listening to the car, not assumptions. Her words hung subtly pointed, a gentle rebuke that pierced his armor without drawing blood. The conversation flowed tentatively from there, bridged by the neutral ground of technology. As Zuri recalibrated the sensors, she elaborated on the Ferrari's intricacies, the seamless blend of combustion and electric power, a testament to Italian ingenuity. Lucas, drawn despite himself, shared a tidbit from his own knowledge. I customized the suspension for better handling on the track. Thought it was flawless. Zuri nodded, adjusting a connection. It's impressive, but even masterpieces have vulnerabilities. Like people. The garage, once a cold vault of solitude for Lucas, began to warm with the spark of dialogue. He handed her a tool when requested, their fingers brushing briefly, a fleeting contact that sent an unexpected jolt through him, stirring memories long buried. Noticing an old weathered wrench in her kit, engraved with faint initials, Lucas ventured further. That looks vintage. Family heirloom? Zuri paused, her expression softening for the first time. My father's. He brought it from Nigeria, taught me everything about beat-up cars in Brooklyn, said hands like mine could fix the world if given the chance. The vulnerability in her tone invited reciprocity, and Lucas found himself responding, his voice quieter than usual. My dad had one like that. He died in a crash when I was 16. His old Mustang flipped on a rainy night. That car was his pride. After he was gone, my mother sold it. I've been chasing that feeling ever since, building this collection to fill the void. The admission surprised him, a crack in his facade revealing the loneliness beneath his billion-dollar veneer. Zuri looked at him anew, seeing not the arrogant tycoon, but a man haunted by loss. Sounds like we're both mechanics at heart, fixing what's broken inside us through these machines. As the repair progressed, layers peeled away like rusted panels. Zuri shared more. Her father's struggles as an immigrant, denied entry to high-end garages where white mechanics sneered and turned him away, citing policy that masked outright racism. He'd come home defeated, but he'd say, Zuri, prove them wrong with your work, not words. That's why I specialize in exotics, to show what people like me can do. Lucas listened, the weight of his morning outburst settling heavier on his conscience. Her story mirrored the prejudices he had unwittingly perpetuated, stirring a discomfort that bordered on shame. In turn, he confessed his own isolation. Wealth isolates you. Everyone wants a piece, but no one sees you. After my ex drained me emotionally for my status, I stopped trusting. These cars? They're the only things that don't betray. The garage echoed with their revelations, the Ferrari's open hood a metaphorical heart laid bare. Zuri's hands never faltered, but her posture relaxed, the initial tension dissolving into a fragile rapport. For Lucas, this was uncharted territory, vulnerability in the presence of someone he had once viewed as beneath him. Yet her quiet strength compelled him, a beacon cutting through his fog of privilege. The moment of budding connection was abruptly tested when the elevator pinged, announcing an unexpected visitor. Harrison Blackwell, Lucas's silver-haired business partner in his 50s, strode in with the entitlement of old money, his tailored suit exuding the arrogance of boardroom battles won. Accompanied by a sleek Bugatti Veyron from Lucas's collection that needed a quick check, Harrison's eyes narrowed upon spotting Zuri elbow-deep in the Ferrari. "Brooks, what's this? Hired help still here at this hour?" His tone dripped condescension, but it escalated as Zuri turned to greet him professionally. Harrison recoiled slightly, refusing to hand over the Bugatti's keys. "No offense, but I don't trust her kind fiddling with my investments. You know how it is. Better safe than sorry." The words landed like a slap. Overt racism hanging in the air, evoking the ugly underbelly of elite circles where exclusion was currency. Zuri stiffened, her tools clattering softly as she set them down, the familiar sting of dismissal burning anew. Lucas froze initially, old habits of complicity urging silence. Harrison was a key ally in the Singapore deal worth millions, his prejudices a tolerated vice in their world. The garage tensed, the hum of diagnostics the only sound amid the standoff. But something shifted in Lucas, a spark ignited by Zuri's earlier stories, her dignity in the face of his own cruelty that morning, the echo of her father's rejections, the quiet power in her vulnerability compelled him to act. "Harrison," Lucas said firmly, stepping forward, his voice steady despite the internal quake. "Zuri's the best there is. She's fixing what no one else could. If you can't respect that, take your Bugatti elsewhere." The words surprised even him, a line drawn in the sand of his privilege. Harrison's face flushed with indignation, sputtering about standards and knowing one's place. But Lucas held firm, his green eyes unyielding. "Out! Now!" Harrison stormed off, muttering threats of reconsidering their partnership, the elevator doors sealing his exit like a coffin lid. In the ensuing silence, Zuri met Lucas's gaze, a flicker of surprise and perhaps gratitude in her eyes. "You didn't have to do that," she said softly. Lucas shrugged, the adrenaline fading into resolve. "Yes, I did. It's about time I started fixing more than just cars." The moment marked a turning point, the first thread of redemption weaving through his flawed tapestry. As Zuri resumed her work, the garage felt smaller, more intimate, a space where prejudices began to crumble under the weight of shared humanity. The repair continued into the evening, the Ferrari system slowly aligning under Zuri's expert touch. Lucas assisted where he could, handing tools and absorbing her explanations, the dialogue evolving from technical to personal. Yet beneath the surface, questions lingered. Could trust bridge the chasm his words had carved? For Zuri, this was more than a job. It was a test of resilience. For Lucas, it was the dawn of self-reckoning. If this chapter's emotional depths have you gripped, hit subscribe and turn on notifications for the full journey ahead. Like if you've ever witnessed prejudice firsthand, and comment your thoughts below. Your engagement makes stories like this possible. The revelations are just beginning. Don't miss out. The penthouse garage, still echoing with the ghost of Harrison Blackwell's departure, pulsed with a newfound tension that clung to the air like exhaust fumes. Zuri Okoye, the 28-year-old mechanic whose steady hands had just navigated the treacherous waters of vulnerability, returned to the Ferrari's open engine bay with renewed focus, her mind a whirlwind of diagnostics and unspoken questions. The hybrid system's screens flickered under her command, data streams revealing anomalies that went beyond mere mechanical wear. Lucas Brooks, the 38-year-old CEO whose world had tilted on its axis in the span of an afternoon, paced nearby, his earlier defense of her lingering like an unclaimed victory. Harrison's exit had left a void, but also a bridge, fragile, untested between them. As Zuri delved deeper into the controller module, her brow furrowed. "This isn't normal degradation," she murmured, zooming in on the firmware logs. Tiny burn marks on the circuit board caught her eye. Not from overuse, but from deliberate surges. Voltage spikes, yes, but patterned, like someone tampered with the software remotely. "This is hacking, Lucas. Sophisticated, targeted." Her voice carried the weight of discovery, her dark eyes lifting to meet his, searching for reaction. Lucas halted mid-step, his green gaze sharpening with alarm. Hacking? His mind raced through enemies in the cutthroat tech world, rivals who'd kill for a slice of his empire. But on his personal vehicle, it felt intimate, a violation that struck at his core sanctuary. Leaning over the diagnostic station, Lucas absorbed the evidence. Irregular code injections buried in the update history, timestamps aligning with his recent drives. Who could pull this off? He demanded, his voice a low rumble of fury mixed with fear. Zuri traced a line of code on the screen. Someone with access to your service records or a backdoor in the Ferrari's app. It's not amateur, requires insider knowledge. The implication hung heavy, betrayal from within his circle. Lucas's thoughts turned to Harrison Blackwell, the 50-year-old partner whose silver tongue masked a shark's ambition. Harrison, he said finally, the name tasting like bile. He's been pushing for control of the Singapore deal, worth $200 million. If I falter, he steps in. But this? Sabotaging my car to, what, discredit me? 'Cause an accident? The words unveiled a darker motive. Harrison's history of underhanded tactics flashing in Lucas's memory. Leaked emails, poached talent. Zuri's expression hardened, her own scars from false accusations resurfacing. If it's him, we need proof. Let's cross-reference the hack signatures with your service logs. They huddled closer, shoulders nearly touching, as she guided him through the data dive. For Lucas, this collaboration was intoxicating, a shift from solitary command to shared pursuit. Zuri, ever the teacher, explained the nuances. See how the code mimics a software update? It's like poisoning the well without leaving fingerprints. As they sifted through layers of encrypted files, Zuri seamlessly wove in lessons on emerging tech. Your Ferrari's hybrid is old school compared to full electrics, she noted, pulling up schematics on her tablet. EVs like my custom build eliminate these vulnerabilities. No combustion means simpler systems, harder to hack. Let me show you. She sketched a quick diagram, her enthusiasm infectious, drawing Lucas into the world of battery integration and regenerative braking. He absorbed it hungrily, his business acumen recognizing the potential. You're saying electrics are the future? My company's investing in AI, but autos, this could pivot us. Zuri smiled faintly, the first genuine one since their fraught meeting. Exactly. But it's not just tech, it's equity. EVs make high performance accessible, not just for billionaires. Their exchange deepened the budding alliance, the garage transforming into a crucible of ideas where prejudices faded against the glow of innovation. Yet beneath the surface, Zuri's guard remained. Trust was a fragile alloy, easily shattered. The intensity broke when Zuri's phone buzzed insistently, pulling her from the screens. She answered, her face clouding as her younger sister's voice spilled through, frantic and tearful. Zuri, they kicked me out of the auto club at school, said I didn't fit the profile. The advisor called me trouble because I questioned why no black kids are in it. It's like dad's stories all over again. Zuri's grip tightened on the phone, the emotional blow landing hard. At 28, she had shielded her sister from the worst of their world's biases, but here it was, seeping into the next generation. Stay strong, kiddo. We'll fight it. Talk to the principal. Document everything. You're brilliant. Don't let them dim that. Hanging up, Zuri exhaled sharply, her composure cracking. Lucas, witnessing the raw pain, felt a pang of empathy and guilt. Family trouble? He asked gently. Zuri nodded, her voice laced with frustration. My sister's facing the same crap my dad did. Exclusion because of skin. Schools, garages, it's everywhere. Makes you wonder if anything changes. The confession heightened the room's tension, her vulnerability exposing the systemic shadows that haunted her life. Lucas, stirred by her strength, offered a rare olive branch. If I can help, connections, whatever, let me know. But Zuri waved it off, refocusing on the hack, though the call lingered like a storm cloud. Seizing the momentum, Lucas proposed a bold plan. To nail Harrison, I need to play along. Feign alliance, get him to slip. I'll meet him tonight, probe subtly. He outlined the strategy. A casual dinner, wired for recording, baiting Harrison with fabricated vulnerabilities. Zuri's eyes narrowed, suspicion flickering. And what if he suspects? Or worse, if you're using me as cover. Her past betrayal loomed large. The white businessman who had promised partnership only to frame her, costing her garage and nearly her reputation. Lucas met her gaze earnestly. This is about justice. For my car, for us. Trust me on this. But Zuri's doubt deepened. His world of deals and deceptions mirrored the ones that had burned her before. Trust isn't given lightly, Lucas. Not after this morning. The words stung, a reminder of the chasm still between them. As she packed her tools mid-repair, agreeing to resume tomorrow, the garage echoed with unresolved tension. Lucas watched her leave, the elevator doors closing like a barrier, his plans set but his alliance teetering. Harrison's shadow loomed larger, the hack not just a mechanical sabotage, but a catalyst unraveling lives. In the quiet aftermath, Lucas stared at the partially mended Ferrari, its exposed wires a metaphor for his fraying control. Zuri's words about equity and change echoed, challenging him to confront not just the enemy without, but the flaws within. The night stretched ahead, pregnant with intrigue and the fragile hope of redemption. If this chapter's twists of betrayal and budding trust have you on the edge, smash that like button and subscribe for the unfolding drama. Comment below, have you ever uncovered a hidden sabotage in your life? Your stories keep us going. Stay tuned for the storm ahead. The weight of suspicion settled over the penthouse garage like a gathering storm, the Ferrari's exposed innards a stark reminder of vulnerabilities laid bare. Not just mechanical, but human. Zuri Okoye, the 28-year-old mechanic whose trust had been forged in the fires of betrayal, stepped back from the diagnostic screens, her dark eyes flashing with a mix of anger and resolve. The revelation of the hack had bonded them momentarily, but Lucas's plan to feign alliance with Harrison Blackwell cracked the fragile foundation. "You're diving back into that snake pit," Zuri said, her voice sharp as a snapping timing belt. "Pretending to trust him, fishing for slips, it's exactly how they operate. Use people like me as bait, then discard us when the deal's done." Lucas Brooks, the 38-year-old CEO whose world of shadows and schemes had never felt so exposed, turned to face her fully, his green eyes pleading for understanding. "It's the only way to get proof, Zuri. If Harrison's behind this, he'll slip. I know him. This isn't about using you. It's about ending it." But her past loomed like a ghost in the machine. The white businessman who had promised collaboration on her first garage, only to frame her for faulty work, costing her everything and nearly her passion. "You say that now," she countered, her tone rising with the heat of old wounds. "But this morning, you saw me as a threat. Now suddenly, I'm your partner? Your world's built on lies, Lucas. Deals where people like me end up collateral." The argument escalated, words flying like sparks from a grinding wheel. Lucas defended his strategy, insisting it was calculated risk. But Zuri saw echoes of manipulation. "I've been burned before," she shouted, packing her tools with forceful clangs. "A partner who swore loyalty, then accused me of sabotage to steal my clients. I won't be your pawn." Lucas reached out, but she pulled away, the garage echoing her footsteps as she stormed toward the elevator. "Zuri, wait!" he called, but the doors closed, sealing her exit with a finality that left him alone amid the humming machines, his plan fracturing before it began. In the descending elevator, Zuri's breath came in ragged bursts, the city's lights blurring through the glass like accusatory stars. At 28, she had rebuilt her life from the ashes of that betrayal, vowing never to let privilege blindside her again. But Lucas's defense earlier, his unexpected vulnerability about his father, these tugged at her, complicating the rage. "Foolish," she muttered, stepping into the cool November night. Queens beckoned, her truck a familiar refuge as she sped through traffic, mind racing faster than any engine. Doubt gnawed. Was Lucas different, or just another suit spinning webs? The hack's code lingered in her thoughts. Those signatures felt familiar. A ghost from her past. Back at her workshop in Long Island City, the space alive with the scent of oil and metal, Zuri booted up her laptop, diving into old files from her lost garage. "If Harrison's involved," she whispered to the empty room, "there must be a trail." Hours blurred as she cross-referenced the Ferrari's hack patterns with archived diagnostics from years ago. Patterns emerged, similar voltage manipulations, the same subtle code injections. Her heart pounded as she unearthed a name, Harrison Blackwell, listed as a consultant on a rival's fleet maintenance contract. Deeper digging revealed the damning link. Harrison had been the anonymous tipster who accused her father of shoddy work 2 decades ago, leading to a lawsuit that bankrupted his Brooklyn garage. He framed my dad, Zuri realized, evidence compiling like puzzle pieces, leaked reports, falsified logs, all tracing back to Harrison's early career ambitions. The connection wasn't a coincidence. It was vendetta, a thread weaving through time to ensnare her now. Fury mixed with clarity. Lucas wasn't the enemy, but Harrison's web threatened them both. Swallowing pride, Zuri grabbed her keys and the back to Manhattan, a blur of determination. The penthouse loomed once more, the doorman nodding as Zuri ascended, her tool bag heavier with revelations. Lucas, alone in the garage, stared at the Ferrari's half-repaired form, regret coiling in his gut. The 38-year-old tycoon had paced for hours, replaying their argument, questioning his tactics. Harrison's call loomed tomorrow. Without Zuri, the plan felt hollow. The elevator pinged, and there she stood, her expression a storm of resolve. "Zuri," Lucas breathed, surprise mingling with hope. She strode in, dropping her bag with a thud. "We need to talk. Harrison isn't just after you. He ruined my family." Unfurling her laptop, she laid out the evidence. Timelines syncing the hack to Harrison's past schemes, the framed accusations against her father that mirrored the current sabotage. 20 years ago, he tipped off authorities, claiming faulty repairs to sink my dad's business. Bankrupted him, broke his spirit, and now this? It's personal. Lucas absorbed the bombshell, his face paling as connections clicked. My God, he mentioned a Brooklyn mess once, laughed it off. I never dug deeper. Shame washed over him, complicity and ignorance, alliances with poison. Zuri's vulnerability cracked open wider. My dad died heartbroken, thinking he failed us. Harrison stole that from him, from me. Tears glistened, but her voice held steel. Lucas reached for her hand tentatively. This time, she didn't pull away. I'm sorry, Zuri, for everything. Today, the past. We'll expose him together. They dove into analysis, screens illuminating their faces as they dissected the software intrusion. Zuri guided Lucas through the code, highlighting forged timestamps and backdoors. See this signature? It's his hallmark, used in corporate espionage cases I've researched. Lucas, leveraging his tech empire's resources, pulled encrypted logs from his servers, cross-verifying. Here, access attempts from his IP range. He's been probing for weeks. The collaboration built momentum, trust reforming like welded seams. Lucas shared his own scars. Harrison mentored me early on, but he's always played dirty. If he's targeting us both, it's because we threaten his game. Zuri nodded, the shared enemy forging an alliance. As they pieced together a digital dossier, emails, timestamps, patterns, the garage thrummed with purpose. Yet tension escalated when Lucas's phone buzzed. Harrison, his voice oily through the speaker. Brooks, about Singapore. Let's meet tomorrow. Heard you had car trouble. Hope it's not catastrophic. The veiled threat hung, an indirect dagger. Lucas played cool, agreeing to the meet, but his hand trembled as he hung up. He's probing, Zuri whispered. He knows we're onto something. The call amplified the stakes, adrenaline surging as they fortified their plan. Lucas wired for the dinner, Zuri monitoring remotely with clone diagnostics. In the deepening night, the Ferrari stood as witness to their evolving bond. Enemies turned allies, wounds turning to weapons. Zuri felt the shift. Lucas's sincerity piercing her defenses, his willingness to confront Harrison a balm on old hurts. For Lucas, her return was redemption's first light, illuminating paths beyond solitude. But danger loomed, Harrison's shadow lengthening, promising a confrontation that could shatter or solidify them. If this chapter's revelations and rising stakes have your heart racing, Like and subscribe for the explosive turns ahead. Comment, what's the biggest betrayal you've uncovered? Share below. Your experiences enrich our tale. The storm is brewing. Don't miss it. The penthouse garage thrummed with electric anticipation. The Ferrari systems now humming in harmonious alignment after hours of painstaking recalibration. Zuri Okoye, the 28-year-old mechanic whose revelations had forged an unbreakable chain linking their fates, stepped back from the engine bay, wiping her hands on a rag with a satisfied nod. The hack's digital fingerprints had been cataloged, a dossier of damning evidence ready to wield like a precision tool. Lucas Brooks, the 38-year-old CEO whose alliance with her had evolved from reluctant necessity to something profoundly mutual, closed his laptop with a decisive click. Harrison Blackwell's veiled threat still echoed in his ears, a serpent's hiss promising peril, but the plan was set. Confront him at tomorrow's elite racing event, wired and watchful. Yet first, verification. The Ferrari needed testing to ensure the repairs held under stress. We can't risk a glitch mid-confrontation, Zuri said, her voice steady but laced with the adrenaline of impending action. Lucas agreed, his green eyes meeting hers with a trust that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Let's take her out. Prove she's battle-ready. The garage doors slid open to the night, Manhattan's skyline a glittering backdrop as they eased the crimson beast onto the streets. Zuri behind the wheel, her expertise demanding she pilot the initial run. The Ferrari purred to life under Zuri's command, its hybrid symphony a blend of raw V8 growl and silent electric surge. She navigated the initial blocks with caution, monitoring gauges for any flicker of instability, the city's neon lights streaking across the windshield like shooting stars. Lucas rode shotgun, his usual commands subdued into attentive partnership, noting every shift and acceleration. Feels solid, he murmured, the wind whipping through the open windows as they hit an empty stretch near the Hudson. Zuri pushed harder, the car responding with ferocious grace, 0 to 60 in a breath, corners hugged with surgical precision. But as traffic thinned into the witching hour, a mischievous glint sparked in her eye. Want to see what real progress looks like? She challenged, pulling over briefly to radio her assistant for her custom electric vehicle. A sleek, modified Tesla Roadster she had rebuilt from scrap into a silent predator. Minutes later, it arrived via tow. Matte black, humming with potential, its battery array optimized for torque that rivaled any gas guzzler. Hop in yours, she said to Lucas. Let's race, your hybrid relic against my EV future. The underground circuit beckoned, a clandestine loop through deserted industrial streets known only to Manhattan's hidden gearheads, where bets were whispered and legends born. The starting line was a faded warehouse marker, the air charged with illicit thrill as they revved side by side. Zuri's EV whispered readiness, while the Ferrari roared defiance. First to the bridge wins, Lucas grinned, the competitive fire igniting something primal. The flag dropped, invisible but felt, and they launched. The Ferrari surged ahead initially, its combustion fury a thunderous declaration, but Zuri's electric beast closed the gap with eerie silence, torque delivering instantaneous power that slingshotted her through turns. Lucas pushed the SF90 to its limits, the hybrid's electric boost kicking in like a second wind. But Zuri's custom mods, lightweight composites, AI-tuned suspension, symbolized evolution over tradition, progress eclipsing outdated might. She overtook on a straightaway, the EV's acceleration a seamless force that left the Ferrari in its wake, crossing the makeshift finish under the bridge's shadow. Brakes squealed as they pulled up, hearts pounding, laughter bubbling amid the adrenaline rush. See? Zuri exclaimed, stepping out breathless, her curls tousled by the wind. Electrics don't just compete, they redefine the game. No emissions, no noise, pure efficiency. Lucas emerged, conceding with a rueful smile. You schooled me. It's liberating. In the hush following the race, the river's gentle lap against the piers provided a serene counterpoint to their racing pulses. They leaned against their vehicles, the night's chill seeping in, but warmth bloomed from proximity. The hilarity faded into intimacy, the shared rush stripping away remaining barriers. That felt alive, Lucas admitted, his voice husky. Haven't had that since, well, before everything turned to deals and distrust. Zuri tilted her head, studying him under the streetlights. What happened? You mentioned an ex, gold digger? He nodded, vulnerability surfacing like oil in water. She was perfect on paper, beautiful, ambitious. But it was all facade. She leaked company secrets for her own gain. Nearly tanked a merger. Since then, I've armored up, kept everyone at arm's length. Feels safer but empty. His confession hung, raw and unfiltered, the race's euphoria loosening tongues. Zuri empathized, her own fears mirroring his. I get it. My betrayal? That businessman promised mentorship, but he framed me, claimed I botched repairs to steal his clients, lost my garage, my confidence. Now I fear letting anyone close. What if they see my strength as a threat, or worse, a novelty? Their eyes locked, the air thickening with unspoken attraction, the underground shadows cocooning them in a world apart from prejudices and plots. In that charged moment, amid the cooling engines and distant city hum, connection deepened into something electric. Lucas stepped closer, his hand brushing hers tentatively. You're no novelty, Zuri. You're extraordinary, brave, brilliant. Watching you drive, command that EV, it's the most real thing I've felt in years. Her breath caught, defenses crumbling under his sincerity. And you're not the man from this morning. You're changing, fighting. The words bridged the gap, their lips meeting in a stolen kiss fueled by adrenaline and awakening desire. Soft at first, then fervent, a spark igniting into flame. Time suspended, the river's flow the only witness to their surrender. Pulling back, breathless, they acknowledge the pull. Mutual respect blooming into undeniable chemistry. This complicates everything, Zuri whispered, but her smile betrayed no regret. Lucas nodded. Maybe, but it's worth it. Harrison's event tomorrow. We end this together, no feints. Direct confrontation with the evidence. Determination solidified, their bond now a weapon against the looming threat. As they drove back separately, the city's lights seemed brighter, possibilities unfolding like open roads. The Ferrari and EV, symbols of old and new, paralleled their union, clashing origins merging into harmonious force. Harrison awaited, but so did hope, the night's intimacy a beacon through the gathering dark. If this chapter's high-octane thrills and heartfelt connections have revved your engine, like, subscribe, and hit notifications for the climax ahead. Comment, what's your most adrenaline-fueled moment of connection? Share below. Your tales drive us forward. The showdown beckons. Stay locked in. The elite racing event pulsed with the raw energy of Manhattan's underbelly, a clandestine gathering hidden in an abandoned warehouse district along the East River, where the city's titans of industry converged under the guise of high-stakes horsepower. Floodlights carved sharp shadows across a makeshift track of concrete and barriers, the air thick with the acrid scent of burning rubber and premium fuel. Exotic cars lined the perimeter like predators in wait, Lamborghinis snarling, McLarens poised, and at the center, Lucas Brooks's Ferrari SF90 Stradale, its crimson bodywork gleaming under the halogens like a bloody jewel. Lucas, the 38-year-old CEO whose life had transformed in the span of a day from isolation to intertwined destiny, gripped the wheel with white-knuckled resolve, his green eyes scanning the crowd for Harrison Blackwell. Beside him in the passenger seat sat Zuri Okoye, the 28-year-old mechanic whose kiss still lingered on his lips like an unspoken promise. Her presence, a calculated risk. They had wired the car with hidden mics and cams, ready to capture Harrison's slip. The event was no mere joyride. It was a battlefield, Harrison's domain of privilege where deals were sealed in the roar of engines and prejudices whispered in the pits. He's here, Zuri murmured, spotting the silver-haired schemer in his 50s, schmoozing with investors near his own Bugatti, his smile a veneer over venom. The race commenced with a thunderous flag drop, engines erupting in a cacophony that drowned the river's murmur. Lucas accelerated into the fray, the Ferrari responding with ferocious grace, its hybrid boost propelling them through the first chicane. But midway through the lap, alarms blared on the dashboard, voltage spikes surging, the same hack signature they had traced. "He's activating it now," Zuri shouted over the din, her hands flying to her portable diagnostic tablet. The car shuddered, power flickering as if possessed, tires screeching in protest on a sharp turn. Harrison, watching from the sidelines with a smug grin, had timed his sabotage perfectly. Remote triggers embedded deeper than they anticipated, aiming to cause a spectacular crash that would discredit Lucas, perhaps even injure him, securing Harrison's corporate coup. The crowd gasped as the Ferrari fishtailed, smoke trailing from the exhaust, a potential catastrophe unfolding before their eyes. Other racers swerved to avoid collision, the track descending into chaos. Lucas fought the wheel, sweat beading on his brow. "Hold on. We're not going down like this." Zuri, unflinching amid the peril, bypassed the corrupted module with a jury-rigged override from her toolkit, her fingers a blur of expertise. "Rerouting power to the electrics. Give me 10 seconds." The car stabilized just in time, averting a pileup that could have endangered spectators and drivers alike. She had saved not just the Ferrari, but lives. Her quick fix is a testament to the genius Harrison had underestimated. Pulling into the pits amid cheers and confusion, Lucas killed the engine, his face a mask of controlled fury. Harrison approached with feigned concern, his entourage trailing like sycophants. "Brooks, that was close. Glad you're all right. Faulty Italian engineering, eh?" But his eyes betrayed glee. The hack's failure was a minor setback in his eyes. Zuri emerged from the car, her coverall smudged but her posture unyielding, confronting him directly. "It wasn't engineering. It was you. We traced the code back to your servers." Harrison's facade cracked, a sneer curling his lips. "Ridiculous. You think I'd stoop to tampering? Especially with help like hers?" The crowd hushed, phones emerging to record as Harrison's prejudice boiled over. He turned to Zuri, his voice dripping venom in a public tirade. "Listen, girl, stick to oil changes in Queens. I don't know what slum garage you crawled out of, but people like you, monkey wrenches in the works, don't belong here. You're probably the one who botched it, trying to scam your way up." The racist slur landed like a detonation. Monkey wrench twisted into a degrading jab at her race and profession, evoking centuries of dehumanization. Gas rippled through the elite audience, some shifting uncomfortably, others nodding in silent agreement. This was their world, where bigotry hid behind boardroom doors, but now spilled into the open. Lucas, wired and ready, exploded in defense, his voice booming over the murmurs. "That's enough, Harrison. We've got it all. Recordings of your rants, the hack logs linking to your IP, even the old files where you framed Zuri's father 20 years ago. You destroyed his life for a leg up, and now you're trying the same with me." He played the audio from his phone, Harrison's voice echoing damningly, slurs from their earlier encounter in the garage, threats laced with bigotry. The crowd recoiled, whispers turning to outrage as the scandal ignited. Harrison's face drained of color, his composure shattering. "You have no proof. This is slander from a desperate man and his pet project." But Zuri stepped forward, her tablet displaying the irrefutable code trails. "Proof? Here's your signature, Harrison, the same one that bankrupted my dad. You're done." Panic seized him. He lunged for the device, but security, alerted by the growing commotion, intervened. Police sirens wailed in the distance, summoned by anonymous tips from the viral morning video, now amplified by this meltdown. Officers arrived swiftly, badges flashing under the lights, reviewing the evidence on site, hack logs constituting cyber sabotage, recorded slurs qualifying as hate speech, and potential civil rights violations. "Mr. Blackwell, you're under arrest for computer fraud, tampering, and discrimination," the lead officer declared, cuffs clicking as Harrison sputtered denials. "This is a setup. Brooks, you'll regret this. You and your little—" But his words cut off as he was led away, the crowd parting like a sea of judgment, phones capturing his fall from grace. In the aftermath, as the race dissolved into hushed discussions and flashing blue lights, Lucas and Zuri stood amid the chaos, their hands finding each other instinctively. The Ferrari, scarred but victorious, symbolized their triumph. Hacked no more, its systems purged of poison. Lucas pulled Zuri close, whispering, "We did it. Together." She nodded, the weight of her father's vindication lifting like a released brake. Harrison's arrest marked the end of his reign, his scandal exploding across social media feeds. Viral clips of his slurs ensuring corporate exile and legal battles ahead. For Lucas, it was liberation from toxic alliances. For Zuri, justice long deferred. The night air cooled their flushed faces, the river's flow a soothing undercurrent to the adrenaline's ebb. As dawn hinted on the horizon, the warehouse emptied, leaving them with the quiet victory of exposed truth. Harrison's downfall was swift, but the real battle, their growing connection, promised a road ahead filled with healing and hope. If this chapter's heart-pounding climax and sweet justice have you cheering, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the resolution. Comment below. What's your take on confronting prejudice head-on? Your thoughts fuel the fire. Stay tuned for the heartfelt wrap-up. The warehouse district's chaos had given way to a profound silence as dawn broke over Manhattan. Harrison Blackwell's empire reduced to rubble in the wake of his arrest. The 50-year-old schemer, once a pillar of corporate intrigue, now faced a barrage of charges: cyber tampering, hate speech, and discrimination. His slurs immortalized in viral videos that sealed his fate. Boardrooms disavowed him overnight. Investors fled, and federal probes unearthed a trail of past misdeeds, including the framing of Zuri's father, ensuring lawsuits and disgrace for life. Harrison's downfall was poetic justice, his bigotry the noose that hanged his legacy. In the Ferrari's quiet cabin en route to the penthouse, Lucas Brooks and Zuri Okoye processed the night's whirlwind, their hands intertwined in shared relief. The 38-year-old CEO glanced at the 28-year-old mechanic, her resilience alight in his reformed world. "We did it," he whispered. Zuri nodded but added, "Justice for Harrison, but healing for us." Back in the garage, they reviewed evidence one last time before authorities arrived. As exhaustion settled, Lucas turned to her. "Zuri, my blindness this morning, I was wrong. You've changed me." She squeezed his hand. "And you've fought for me. That's a start." Forgiveness flowed, not erasing scars but binding them closer, trust rebuilding amid the tools that sparked their bond. Lucas acted swiftly on his redemption. Convening his board, he demanded restructuring, diverse leadership, scholarships for minorities in tech and auto fields, and partnerships with underrepresented firms. Resistance came, but the scandal's backlash, plummeting stocks, forces compliance. Old guards resigned, new voices rose, and his company evolved from an exclusive fortress to an inclusive powerhouse. Central was their joint venture, the community garage in Queens, offering free repairs and training for minorities. "No more exclusion," Zuri declared at its opening, where families and trainees gathered. Lucas learned hands-on, his grease-stained hands symbolizing commitment. Impact rippled, jobs created, lives stabilized, stories of empowerment spreading. Climaxing his atonement, Lucas held a press conference at the garage, Zuri beside him. "I berated Zuri out of ignorance," he confessed publicly. "Harrison's fall is justice. My apology is to her and all marginalized. I dedicate my life to opening doors." Applause thundered, Zuri accepting with grace, their unlikely story inspiring millions. Months deepened their bond. Shared drives, mentorships, challenges met united. The foundation grew, combating bias globally. Their love was a partnership, resilient, evolving, proving empathy conquers division. In their story's close, as they drove into horizons of possibility, hope reigned, change from confrontation, futures rebuilt together. If this resolution moved you, like, subscribe, and bell for more. Comment, how has bias affected you? Your shares inspire. Thanks for watching. 6 months had woven a tapestry of transformation since Harrison Blackwell's dramatic fall, the scandal's echoes fading into a symphony of renewal across Manhattan. In Queens, the community garage stood as a beacon of hope on a crisp May afternoon. Lucas Brooks, the 38-year-old CEO, adjusted his linen shirt nervously, while Zuri Okoye, the 28-year-old mechanic, radiated in a white dress with gear motifs. The diverse crowd, mechanics, executives, kids, and family, filled the space, the Ferrari gleaming as a symbol of unity. The ceremony unfolded amid tools and oil scents, the officiant speaking of love as ultimate repair. Lucas took Zuri's hands. "You rebuilt me, from stranger to everything. I vow to honor your strength and fight for equality." Zuri responded, "You chose growth. I promise to build a world where all belong." Rings exchanged, they kissed amid cheers, the Ferrari witnessing their union. The reception buzzed with stories of the garage's impact. Apprenticeships for teens, free fixes for families. It marked the Okoye Brooks Foundation launch, offering scholarships and anti-bias workshops. "Equity for all," Zuri toasted. Lucas added, "No more closed doors." Applause thundered as the first grant went to Zuri's sister. Evening brought quiet moments. Lucas whispered, "You turned isolation into us." Zuri smiled. "And walls into windows." Their work continued, teaching classes, mentoring youth, expanding mobile units. Lucas's company flourished with diversity, profits funding inclusion. Challenges arose, biases, scrutiny, but they faced them united. Their love was a resilient partnership, daily choices to uplift. Visits to her father's old spot honored legacies, the foundation growing globally against exclusion. As they drove into sunset, the Ferrari's hum blended with laughter, proving love and justice redefine roads ahead. In a divided age, they offered hope. Change blooms from confrontation, empathy as fuel for better tomorrows. If this finale's hope and unity inspired you, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Comment, how has confronting bias changed you? Your thoughts fuel us. Thank you for the journey. Thank you for joining us on this transformative journey, from prejudice and conflict to love, justice, and unbreakable unity. Lucas and Zuri's story reminds us that true change begins with confronting our shadows, embracing empathy, and building bridges where walls once stood. What about you? Have you ever overcome bias in your own life or witnessed a redemption that inspired hope? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your stories could spark the next wave of positive change. We appreciate you watching till the end. Your support means the world. Hit like if this moved you, subscribe for more uplifting tales, and we'll see you in the next video. Drive safe and keep believing in better tomorrows.